Aloha. I'm excited about talking about the full swing. I want you to think about this as more of a side effect motion, and it's something that I don't want you to really pressure yourself to do. You just want to get to know it a little bit so when it happens or you try it, you don't force anything. It's really not that important relative to everything else you've learned thus far. So if you end up only with a half, three-quarter swing for a while or forever, it's good. I mean, I've talked about John Rahm and how he crushes it with a swing that's just about here. It looks sometimes, even with his driver, it looks like it's half a swing or less than half a swing. So it's really okay. But the advantage of a full swing, it's more effortlessness. I don't know if that's a grammatically correct way of saying it, but it is adding to the effortlessness of your strength and power because it's just more width and more length. And anything that has more isn't always good. You know, a longer swing just to be long isn't always good. It's just wasted motion. So a full swing, long swing doesn't mean that it's the greatest thing. It's just that if you do the right one swing, then it's very beneficial in the sense of adding more distance. Full swing encapsulates takeaway, half swing, three-quarter, full swing. Show you from this angle. So from this angle, the club disappears at the top of the swing. So that's considered parallel to the ground. Let me show you again. So if it's up here, the club disappears, then it's more of a full swing. If you can see it right there, you see how you can see that? That's not a full swing. What I mean by parallel to the ground is that it's parallel to the ground. So if you look at this sort of motion, the club should be straight or a little bit over. It's not about being perfectly parallel, but that's considered a full swing. Anything like this is not a full swing. It does require more coordination. So this is a part where I just want you to take your time, because if you don't and you rush through it, this is a common thing that people do. They either turn too much to try to get the full swing, so they turn their body too much to generate that full speed. And it's not more turn. You're going to have plenty of turn, so it's not more turn. And then the other one is you're going to get flimsy most often. Most people get really flimsy and loose. So at the top of the swing, they just kind of like collapse their wrist. And that looks really full and long, but it's not effective. So there are very few pros out there, like John Daly, Brooks Henderson. They have a full, really full, like they go all the way here and then they have a full swing like this. And then they come down and lag it. But they do it in a fundamental manner. What is not fundamental is when you just relax it just to be flimsy like this to create length. And I mean, you can swing forever, but it's very weak positioning. So that's where I'm saying I'd rather you have good half swing positioning, which would be a lot more accurate and long, than having a randomly weak swing that doesn't have the form and doesn't have the proper body mechanics, then it's just wasted motion and it's not good for your body. The other way of doing a longer swing is not just in the wrists, but in the arms, how it can fold. This is also a common way, is golfers tend to do this and then they collapse their arms like this for a longer swing. And that's not effective and efficient either. So that's why I always go back to the fundamentals of the one swing, because those are what's going to give you proper extension, proper hand and wrist position. So a full swing is really only good if all these positionings allow for that. That's why I don't want you to force it, because if you force it, it's not going to be in good position and you're just trying too hard. You don't want to try too hard. That's why I emphasize it in this lesson where it's like, don't force yourself to do it. Just do it after doing your swing and working on it, and somehow you go, okay, I'm going to go a little bit longer, and some of the key things that I'm going to talk about today, you can address those and see if your body will allow that. That coordination will allow that. The good news is you don't need a lot of flexibility. It's going to actually create it along the way with the coordination that you have as you build through the one swing. Let's say you're working on the 3/4 swing. The full swing, I could simplify and go, okay, it's just a lift of the arms. But what I find is that's because I've coordinated my body. It's the lift of the arms seems like the simple thing to do, but what I find is a lot of times the legs, the wrists, the elbows, they all can easily break down. What I'd like you to do is when you take it to 3/4, when you lift up, make sure that you don't lean back and you let your knee, your left knee, turn inward a little bit. And a question that is often asked is, should I lift the heel off to create more flexibility? I don't really recommend it because less moving parts are easier things to do. If you add more moving parts like that, that's another coordination to add to your rhythm and tempo. One of the best golfers in the world, Jack Nicklaus, lifts the heel off the ground. He's won many tournaments that way. So it's not that you can't do that, but what I find most golfers do is when you do that, many parts of the body is tough to coordinate and breaks down. A big question is why even kick the knee in? Because some of the pros kick it out. That's what they see. They see it kind of stable, and then if anything, it just kind of bulges out this way. I don't recommend that. It can cause a lot of issues. I see a lot of students do it after watching a tournament. And what happens is when they do that, the knee points outward towards the target, and then the whole body resists that. It's going the opposite direction. I don't recommend it. That's why it's like sometimes when a pro does it, doesn't mean it's good for the majority of the people. And the way that our body is designed, they have figured out a way to compensate that. But I don't really recommend it because it's just natural. Even when you just say I'm talking to you right now and I turn over, my knee's going to naturally kick in. Let's do what the body naturally does. It doesn't kick out towards the target as I turn this way. If I'm just wanting to walk or turn, it's unnatural. So some of the pros, actually, they can learn incorrect things, but learn to compensate it because they have that athleticism to get through it. So they'll do other things to get through that incorrect motion. I truly believe that. I haven't seen anyone use it properly, and when they try to emulate a pro, it doesn't look good at all. It's kind of scary for when I see it, because I'm like, ooh, that's not good for your knees. So what I'd like you to do is let it kick in a little bit, and then when you do a full swing, you can kick it even more. Because I talked about that doesn't mean that's what's going to create the full swing. It's all this other stuff. It takes time to get through things, although it's a lot quicker and it's actually real tangible change when you do the right things. It's going to feel like at times it's going to take time, but it's actually going really fast. Doing random things feels like you're going fast, but you're really not. You're kind of stuck. You're going to see that I kick my knee in a little bit, extend. That's more important than anything. You don't want a full swing like this. And if you can get that down, it's actually a fun thing to do over time, is that added coil and stretch. Effortless power comes out of all that. You're going to really like it. Continue to practice, and I will see you soon. Peace.